application that's going to help you with your route optimization based upon comfort, mostly. You want to know how sort of your experience to work is going to be in the morning and coming home in the evening. We're going to have you the means of telling you, right, avoid the smelly seats in the corner over there. There's people over here. That man really should have had a shower at some point today. Where can you find the time and space to be able to get home, get into work at a reasonable rate of time, but also at a reasonable state of mind? We're going to be looking at ways of getting people to provide both persona-based information, to give them some as much of passive information as possible to say, right, how people are together, where they are, how many of them are there, is it crowded, is it spacious, and then also combine that with information about the method of their travelling, whether it's bus, tram, transport. We're focusing on public transport types of systems here. We want to know whether or not you can get into work both sort of at a reasonable rate and actually get there sort of and enjoy sort of the experience along the way. We know that people like to do all sorts of things whilst they're commuting, so we're going to let you do all those things. We don't care about that, but we want to know whether or not you're going to have the time, space, and the actual energy to do so. Did I miss anything? That is us in a nutshell.
What UX techniques did you use to get there?
Right, we're looking at ways of taking on things like mesh networking and tracking of transport, so you can find out time, speed, and optimization. Is it better you're off waiting for the next bus to come along so there's more seats? Are you better off standing room only, you're in a rush? We want to know whether or not sort of you're the kind of person that likes to sit down. Are you the kind of person who doesn't mind standing? Do you sort of want to have sort of room to listen to something? Are you going to be playing loud music? Do you want to be able to read in quiet somewhere? Are you looking at taking sort of the fastest route possible? Are you in a rush? Have you got a bit more time to spare? Do you want a scenic route to deal with? Combining those factors together and say, well, actually, you're probably best off catching the number 10 bus that comes along at the next stop here, or walk 5 minutes in that direction first, take a different route, catch the train that comes in first, things like that, combine them together.
But how did your team, what did you use? Did you brainstorm? Did you use personas? How did you do that?
Okay, to walk you through the process quickly, what we did, we said, right, well, we're all commuters, we all have that experience to face with. We realised that we planned out, saying, what is a commuter, what does it involve us? These are the things we're trying to do. We went, okay, these are all the factors, there's lots of stuff here. What actually affects our ability to do things we want to do on the commute? From that, we took a sort of load of ideas and said, right, these are all the things that we could do that were related to commuting, etc. Found a way to group and categorise them, identified sort of common patterns between this, and went, roughly narrowed it down and went, okay, it's mostly about logistics, and it's mostly about how do we actually enjoy the journey of what we're dealing with? How can we improve that? How can we inform other people about it?
Any questions?
Excellent. Team 4. Okay, hello, we're Team Wibble again, and we're still here to present about ComNet. In a nutshell, this is a mobile application designed to make sort of your commute more interesting by choosing by preferences such as comfort rather than just speed. We understand that basically people have to be able to get from A to B. That's the key point here. So what we want to do is try and find out if you can do other things along the way or enjoy at least the process you're going with. We make assumptions that we're not here to entertain them. They've got to do the journey, they're going to do what they normally do on their commute. We want to know, take away the surprises of what they're going to encounter along the way. What I said, mobile application, and we're focusing basically on public transport as the key thing, so looking at buses, trains, trams, tube. We're trying to avoid the likes of cars, walkers and bikes at the moment. Quick walk through use cases will come after me, but I'm going to pass on to Kevin, who's going to talk about some factors which define as comfort.
So there were two things that we were really concerned about with this. It was whether someone wanted a quick journey or whether they wanted a comfortable journey. We wanted to be able to give them the option, and you know, they could kind of measure on a scale as to how fast or how comfortable they want it to be. For time, the sorts of things we were looking at is speed of journey, traffic flow, the number of connections, and we also did consider cost. That's it. Comfort is a slightly more difficult thing to really kind of get a handle on. So the sorts of things we considered were the noise levels. We considered maybe we could use microphones that are built into phones to get a kind of bass level. It's a very difficult thing to do. Space, you know, how much seating there is, leg room, headroom, that sort of thing. And this sort of thing which we were hoping we could get from kind of data sets that are available. If we know what sorts of buses are available, what sorts of trains are available, then we can get that sort of information like that. Also found some interesting data sets which includes things like the road quality throughout the UK, various surveys, so it's particularly part of the journey or something like that. So that's really what we're looking at, is that kind of balance between time and comfort. And I think what's probably best now is let me talk about some of the user journeys.
Yeah, we've created some very simple user flows. The first one I just want to show you here is just when you actually download the app, you'll have to set up a profile, and obviously that can be problematic before they actually know, the user knows the benefit of what this app can do for her or him. But that's what we hope for in order to actually get, you need these preferences in order to actually create the right journey for the person. So what we've just created here is just some really simple kind of like wireframe diagrams here. Just to point out a few things, you need to obviously state what types of transportation you prefer to use. And also another very important thing is to if you have a monthly travel pass, you need to state what kind of what zones you got, for example, in case that you're doing the actual journey, there are some discrepancies and so on. So you actually need to do some rerouting and something like that. Then you can't really go outside the zone. So you have a new travel pass, because then obviously the cost will go up and it will affect your comfort as well. Another thing, like other things could be like other preferences could be like as we heard before, like noise and so on. Facilities, it's a bit difficult to show here. 3G connectivity, Wi-Fi, etc. Just one more thing I want to show you. So easy. One thing that's important is like notifications. So you can actually select what kind of disturbances you want to be notified by. So during the journey, if there are some delays on your actual journey, then you can actually be notified by that, and you can get another route, which is more convenient for you, simply to keep the level of comfort. So that's what you do just when you're down. But I think next
Second slides.
Okay, it's nice and quick. So after you've made a profile, you need to set up your journeys, because you're going to want to use this at times like going to work or coming home from work. So this is the screen you'll get to showing you your journeys. You can select the journey you want to do. The way it handles journeys is different in the morning than in the evening, and I'll explain that in a moment. So let's say I've selected the work journey. I'm going to have this screen which gives me a list of available buses on that journey in order of when they're going to leave or when they're going to arrive. So if I want to arrive at 9 o'clock, I could go for some that would arrive exactly at 9 o'clock. Or if I didn't want to leave a bit early, I could choose some that leave at about 8 o'clock. If I wanted to adjust the results that are shown on this page, I can click on the edit button, and from there I can change, if I'm worried about comfort or speed, or any of the other attributes that were set up in the profile to begin with. We actually had to talk about...
I have to really...
Okay.
2 sentences.
Alright, so you can either edit or you can choose a journey. This one's been chosen, and when you go on it, it shows you a nice overview of the space, noise, the kind of connectivity and things you have on the journey. When it leaves, when it arrives, and you can select it, and then you can choose to rate the journey by these attributes I've gone through just screen.
Okay, this is 5 seconds each, but it's kind of to get the data set better. So we ask you like, were there free seats? Are there seats available? Was there enough light in the room? Like how noisy was it? Like, did you have any good data connections? Like, or was there a toilet or power socket? And as a reward, you get a lot of screen.
No. Any questions?
Got time for one question maybe.
So it's just for clarity, is this, so you rate a journey for comfort and speed is obviously supposed to depend how fast it is, and then that becomes part of a database from which that drives the nature of the journey which someone else searches.
So there's a bit of both. Ideally there'll be some real-time information, but until the user base grows, you're not going to have that interaction to actually feed back, here's what this journey is exactly going to be like.
Okay.
So in the background you can have the delayed effect built in the data set, here's how previous journeys have been like,
This
probably
time,
what you're going to
this train is
Yeah.
often busy, noisy.
Yeah, so we build it
hasn't
from trends, and there's quite a lot of trends data out there as to what sort of journeys are like. So then build it up further, and hopefully kind of build up more in real time as well.
One last
question. So I'm just thinking, if you're constrained by time and when you have to travel, there's only one train or two trains, this is probably not very useful. That's probably more useful if you've got flexibility to
If
travel.
there's more flexibility, yes.
And also there's a danger that if you highlight that this is the quieter train, more likely more people will go to that, and then
Well,
the other
just
one
social
is
engineering
and
and
all
all
this
this,
different out. So
Yeah, there is, as you would say, a fair bit of social engineering aspect that can come into this. And you'll find people that may try and game the system. For example, I want a quiet train so I can be heard having my noisy phone call. Yeah, those conversations did come up and there's no great science in it.
Thanks, guys.